Be'ezras Hashem Yisbarach. Yom Revi LaParsha Shmini Shnas Tovshin Ayin Vov Yeshiva Tiferes Avigdor. Today's Shiur is sponsored the SHLITA, the Chaim Yitzchak ben Rasha Chana B'soich Shar Choli Yisroel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right now he is in surgery, moving delicate surgery in his brain. But first of all, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should guide the doctor's hands that it should go smoothly. Second, they should be able to remove whatever needs to be removed without any collateral damage, Rachmana litzlan. Also, Tzurfu Shlema Reb Meir Alevi ben Hendel B'soich Shar Choli Yisroel. We've been speaking about the Yesodis of Pesach. The first Yesod we discussed was the aspect of the Avodah of Pesach. That Pesach is a Zman of feeling Avodas Hashem, of dedicating yourself to Avodas Hashem. Chayiv kol adam is chayiv lirois is atzma, as if he went out of Mitzrayim now. Total rededication. Schadshus. Second, we spoke about the midah that doesn't allow a person to serve Hashem, to acknowledge his obligations. That is a lack of Hakoras Hatov, Kfiyas Tov. And today we're going to speak about another important Yesod that's necessary in order to serve Hashem for all the good that He's done us. You have to know that knowing that I have to serve Hashem for all the good that He did for us is not necessarily enough to motivate you completely. There's another aspect, and that is the aspect of consequences. See, a human being who knows that he has to do something, even if he undertakes to do something, he will only do it for a relatively short time. He has to feel the motivation of a consequence, meaning he has to be motivated by the fact that if he doesn't do something, he is going to experience some kind of a loss. The loss factor is a tremendous motivator. In everything in life, there are consequences. You have to know that. Anything that a person has a responsibility to do, and he doesn't do it, Matasho, if a person doesn't do it, then what happens? A person tends to not carry out responsibilities. What is one of the major reasons that a person doesn't carry out responsibilities. What would you say, Elchanan?
Maybe, I would think maybe laziness.
Excellent. You took the words out of my mouth. Laziness. Shloza could tell you, laziness is a big factor in inhibiting people from carrying out responsibilities. He's a psychologist, he understands. Take Yoini. He's can tell you very much he knows about this subject. He practices this, puts it into practice. But laziness is a factor that inhibits people from carrying out what they want to do. They want to do something. They know they should do something, but they're lazy. They even know that they're supposed to do it. They know why they're supposed to do it. They know they owe their Bnei Shalom. So that's why you have to add into the mix. There always has to be an aspect of fear. I want you to know in the rest of your whole life, this is what it's like, you should know. If you ever want to do something well, and you want to guarantee you're going to do it well, put a consequence in there. There's a young man that came to recently, he wants to put a consequence. I said, what's the hardest thing for you? What are you afraid of? I said, I can't beat you up if you don't behave. What should I do? She said, oh, the money thing? I said, does that work for you? Are you a kind of guy that cares for money? So one guy told him, nah, money is nothing for me. I don't care if I lose money. It doesn't make anything for me. But this guy said, money makes a big difference to me. I said, okay, go to the bank, bring me back some money, put down a mashkin. He said, okay. He walks out of my office, and he never returned. I met him a couple weeks later. I said, what happened? He said, oh, I'm trying to motivate myself on my own. It never works. You have to have a consequence. If a guy offers you a job and he's going to volunteer for you, if you want to get a good job done, no, don't hire him. Hire him for money and tell him that the payment is contingent on getting the job done. That's what it's contingent on. You get the job done, you get paid. You don't get the job done, not getting paid. Now a person has to understand that this is the most fundamental motivation. There's no more in a job. There's no motivation like if you have employees. Or you ever become an employee and you want to do a good job. If you don't want to do a good job, make sure there's no fear factor, no consequence factor. In Russia, you had a job for life. The government gave you a job, and you know what happened over there? Pelvic is up. The economy came to a standstill. You know why? There was no fear of you losing your job. A guy told me, you know what the only fear is? The only fear of losing your job is if you became too motivated and did too good of a job. If you did too good of a job, all the other people in the company and the factory were very upset at you. Because now their productiveness would have to be upgraded. And they wanted to take it easy. You got paid over there for whether you're productive or not. And as soon as it came down, the communist system closed and came a little capitalism, all of a sudden fires were lit under a lot of seats and people started to be motivated. But in those places where there's no motivation of loss, you can't lose your job. You have a job for life. So, you know what happens? Everybody knows jobs. What job sector is the least productivity? Elchana would know that.
Least productivity?
What job sector in America? Government employees. Why is it like that?
Not everybody looks like that.
What? Not everybody. Why is it like that? You know why? Because in private sector, you get paid based upon what you produce. And if you don't perform well, they let you go. In the government, you have a job for life. A life. It's very hard to be let go from a government job. if you show up sometimes, or you show up most of the time, and you do a power of a job. No motivation. Worst thing, no motivation. Motivation in Avodas Hashem is basic. That's why many Yidden have no motivation. Know what they think? There's no consequences. They really believe there's no consequences. They tell them, you want to be happy? Do a good job. If you do a good job, you put your best effort forward, you're going to feel accomplished. It'll make you happy. Doesn't work. There's fellows here, right? They get very happy when they feel accomplished. You would think that would motivate them every day? No. Once in a while they do that. They put the effort in. They say, today I had a good Seder. They hope maybe tomorrow I'll have a good one too. No, what shaykhs. Once in a blue moon, they come up above water. Today I'm having a good one. You have to have motivation. Motivation is that if you don't perform, you're going to lose your place. So you have to realize the Chovos Halvavos writes in his Psicha to the Shar of Abbas Hashem that he says that before you get involved in Abbas Hashem, you must get first involved in Yiras Hashem. And this is what it says in the Pesach. It says in the Pesach, it says Va'ata Yisroel Mo Hashem Elokecha Shoal Mimcha Ki Im Liyira Ula'ava Yisai V'Omar, and it says Ki Es Hashem Elokecha Tira U'Boi Sidbak. And a person has to know Yira has to be makdim to Ava, has to come before Ava. That's why people go to yeshiva. You know, they want to know, is there any pressure here? If a guy asks that question, you know the guy is a failure in life. He belongs in communist Russia in a pre-Gorbachev days. He belongs to be working in some factory with old utensils, old machine, no productivity. He's getting paid anyway. But a person has to know you have to have Yira before Ava. And he says logic dictates that. You know why? Because Yira is the greatest motivator that brings a person to do the right thing and best job. Here's an example. You go to somebody and you say, would you like to play sports on a major league team? Or better, let's go on an amusement park. You tell a guy, what would you like to do? Would you like to go on the little kiddie rides? You go into a boat, there's a little water there, and it's all attached by a metal rod to something in the middle, and it goes around and around. There's no danger. Or would you like to go on the boats that you feel you're not attached to anything, and you're subject to the wild wave? And you get splashed, and you go up the hill and down the hill, and you can fall out of this thing. That's a fear factor. You know what that does? That motivates you. Fear motivates a person. It's pushed us out. So in your life, you always want to make sure, before you succeed, there should be a fear factor. There should be a fear factor, Yiras Elokim, involved. If a guy thinks, if I come to davening, it's good. I'll daven for it. If I don't come to davening, it's good. But if a guy knows you don't come to davening, gets smacked in the face, and Hashem is going to kick his teeth out and pull his tongue out, know what the guy would do? The guy would, all his excuses, he becomes so motivated, the guy becomes so inflamed, mislahe v'yiras Hashem, would be that funny. So you have to set that up for yourself. That's why you go to places, you go to big yeshivas, they're very big yeshivas, and no one cares what you do. You'll find the most common thing in these yeshivas is as follows: unaccomplished people and unhappy people. You know why? Because there's no pressure to succeed. Now, I'm only have a person who makes himself pressure. I'm talking, it's a common thing. You have people who don't want any pressure. They don't have any pressure, and they're not accomplished. So they're doing the same thing over and over, just out of volunteerism. They have no motivation to have to do that. You burn out so quickly, you become such toast. It's an emes rachmanis. But when a person sets himself goals, let's say a person has to prepare chaburas, and everything he learns, he says he's going to write up clear shiurim, clear sikumim on a sugya. And he has to do that. Not that guy is going to feel he has a goal. Now, if he doesn't have a pressure to fulfill that goal, so he'll do it once, and then his laziness will kick in. It's only volunteerism. He won't see it through. A person always has to create that motivation himself. The efsher, Chesel Vavos Loshen is, the efsher, it's impossible. Sheyagia ha'adam to Abbas Hashem, ela achar shetukdam yir osoy, upachdoi me'elikim yizbarach. Abba said, remember this Yisroel, this is the Yisroel of your life. This is the Yisroel of your life. As a young boy, high school, he was going to regular yeshiva, and they put pressure on him. He comes home, he said, Daddy, I don't like pressure. So that's what he did. I like the yeshiva with no pressure. His father, let's go talk to the rabbi. So, father brings it to me. He said, a very good yeshiva he was. Kid tells me, I don't like pressure. I want to be chilled out. I want to be in the yeshiva because I want to be there. I want to learn because I want to learn. I said, mark my words, kid. You're going to fail in life miserably. There's no such a metzias in life. I said, a guy, if that's your shita, you don't like pressure, you're going to fail in every single thing you undertake in life. Now, a guy might say, I don't mind pressure, but I want pressure in business. I want pressure from a boss, not from Rosh Yeshiva, not from Mashkia. That guy could succeed in the world. But if a guy has this shita, what happened? So he went to another Rav. I told him there's no such thing. Went to another Rav. The Rav says, I understand you. We'll find you a yeshiva with no pressure. I called the Rav, I said, it can't work. He said, why not? I said, because the Yesod, it all starts with Yira. You have to have Yira. It's part of life. Nah, who said that? I said, who said that? Hashem said that. That's Pashat psychology. Every Sefer says that. And I watched this kid. The kid went from one yeshiva to another yeshiva, because even that yeshiva, even the yeshiva, he found himself a garbage yeshiva to go to, when they allowed you to watch movies, allowed to watch you do everything, as long as you did it in the dorm. And there were certain averas you couldn't do in the dorm, you could do out of the dorm. I mean, but even that he couldn't do. He wanted no pressure. So they sent him out of there. Then he tried another yeshiva 2 months, and then he was on the street, and he started making money. He himself a nice suit. What is this? I said, is this for costume? No, I'm a businessman. I said, 18-year-old businessman? Oh, he had the gift of gab. The guy was a good talker. Got a nice haircut. Oh, I remember he had a beautiful chip. He had a mamish comb, looked very professional. Made the wave. Thought he was Donald Trump or something. So he tried to make over his hair, and he walked around like mamish. He borrowed money from people left and right. He rented himself. He leased himself a fancy car. Started running around. Big businessman. Took people's money. Take it easy. No pressure. Then he kissed everybody's money goodbye. All the people were angry at him. He left town. Going to go to another town. Try his luck in another town. He did the same thing in another town. Wherever he went, did the same thing. Finally, he got married to another failure like himself. And then he started drinking and doing drugs and whatchamacallit. Now, he got divorced with a few kids, and he has no job. He can't pay his rent, and he can't pay if he got evicted from one house. That's my friend. I told you this when you were 15 years old. I told you this. Life comes with pressure. You can't make it in life without pressure. You got no pressure, you're not going to succeed. You can't. Volunteers don't succeed. Look at yourself in the mirror. If you don't like pressure, you're a failure for life. Nope. As I state in the Rambam. The Rambam says, Shetzivonu, Hashem commands us, lahamin yir'oso yisala. And you should have pachad from him. V'lo'iniye ke'koifrim ha'holchim b'shviros libum b'keri. People go, nah, nothing to pay, everything is what happens. Avol nira b'yiras onshoi b'chol eis. Hashem wants us to fear His einish b'chol eis. V'hu omru yis'ala, Hashem says, as Hashem elokecha tira. Hear that? Notice what Rambam says? A guy who doesn't have Yiras Shamayim, b'shita, because he doesn't like pressure, you know what he's called? He's a koifer, ha'hoylech b'shrirois libay, uvekeri. That's taking this Rambam. Chiddush Gadol. Not trying to filter me. It's not only missing Yiras Shamayim. You're missing, if you're a guy that doesn't like Yiras Shamayim. That's what you are. You don't want to believe in a Yiras Shamayim. You have to believe that every single thing has a consequence. Every action has a consequence. You're going to pay. A guy that stays in bed when he davens, mark my words, you could write it down on a piece of paper. I promise you, there's going to come a day you're going to have to stay out of bed saying Tillim for some chaylim, some machla, some chayli, for somebody, because you pay back this thing. There's no free rides in this world. Everything you pay for a price. If you sleep when you're not going to sleep, Hashem's going to take it away from you. Like the Yisroel told his doctor on Shabbos. Told him, Shabbos is going to be Toiveya every minute of Menucha that you didn't rest in. Every minute that you didn't rest on Shabbos. I'm doing you a favor, Yisroel said. Rest on Shabbos. Rest on Shabbos. Please have a Toiveya. Because if you don't rest on Shabbos, Shabbos is going to be Toiveya from you every minute. It's heartbreaking. You go to an old age home. You see old people there sometimes, Friday people there for years. Oh, now they're resting. They're resting on Shabbos, and on Sunday they're locked in jail. They can't go anywhere, and it's for years. They have all kind of arthritis, and they wonder what's the pshat. People ate whatever they wanted to eat, and now Hashem says, "You use my stomach that I gave you to eat Tiferes. Now you can only eat applesauce and prune juice." That's what happens. Put you in a nursing home, feed you nice applesauce, not even good applesauce, and lousy prune juice. Don't concentrate. You understand? Goodness. You understand? This is what happens. People think, oh, you're trying to scare me? No, I'm trying to motivate you. Trying to sharpen you up. Fear is the greatest motivator. Now, there is a fear that paralyzes a person. That's when a guy comes and he puts a gun to your head. And he says, give me your money. There are some fears that are paralyzed. People have certain mental, emotional issues, fears, and they become paralyzed by the fear. We're talking about a fear that's going to motivate you. Fear is the greatest motivator of anything. That's what you have to know. No? The Rambam says, if you don't have fear, that means you see, stuff happens. You know what the Pasuk says? If you go with me bekeri, Hashem says. Rashi says, what does keri mean? Arai, b'mikra. She'ein le'ela leprokim. Yeah, you say sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, stuff happens. No. And this is your mahalach mitzvahs. Kain, telchu arai b'mitzvahs. What is arai b'mitzvahs? Sometimes I do them, sometimes I get up, sometimes I don't get up, sometimes I learn, sometimes I don't learn. I mean, could you imagine a normal human being, 21-year-old person, 22-year-old person, who sleeps so many hours of a day and wastes so many hours? If I was doing that, I think I'd run to a hospital and say, doctor, I'm losing my brains. I lost my beans. I could sleep for 18 hours a day if it gave me a choice. And if I don't sleep for 18 hours, I'll sleep for 12 hours and I'll waste another 6 hours schmoozing. And I'll even convince myself I'm productive. That's retarded. It's not retarded. A young, healthy person. You'd think a guy's the prime of his life. He wants to be active. Well, you have a guy that stays up day and night because he's involved in rishus. He's doing all kind of rishus, all kind of Averis he's doing. Watching, there's a kid came home, I called his mother, I said, careful, your son's going in the wrong direction. She says, what? My son davens vasikin every day. Zman. I said, are you a fool? She said, why do you call me a fool? I said, you actually believe that your son started davening vasikin in yeshiva? You know he has a problem getting up on time. You think he got cured when he came? Everybody could change. I said, does your husband daven vasikin? No. Did you ask him to daven vasikin? No. I said, why do you think he's davening vasikin? She said, I'm not sure. I said, I'll tell you why. Do you know what he's doing in his room a whole night? She said, he's sleeping, no? I said, you think he's sleeping, getting up vasikin? I'll tell you what he's doing in his room every night. He's watching movies, one after another, and he's reading filthy books. That's the best he's doing. Where would he get movies from? This is a family who knows who TVs were. I said, I have no questions here anymore. I said, can you go into his room and check? She said, oh, there's a sign on his door. There's a sign that says, please, no entry allowed. I said, you're his mother, for Hashem's sake. Go in there and check. Maybe he's got drugs in there. She said, oh, Rabbi, that's getting a little carried away. So she went into the room finally. The problem was the guy was always in the room. That was one of the big problems. Because he was there all night, and then he's davening vasikin, if he davened vasikin. And then he came home and slept most of the day. And he started again. The Shiur started over again. So she finally went into his room. And she saw a stack of videos. And she wondering, how does he watch them? I said, there's a thing called the video machine. I said, what else did you find in the room? He said, a couple of bottles of beer, and I'm very surprised. I said, I can't even deal with this anymore. I said, just wake up, please. Seek professional help. Help your son. That's the message. People do, once in a while, a rai b'mitzvahs. If you don't do another thing, it's a hefkevel. I watch every one of these guys. I see them, the guys in Shiva. I watch them 10 years later. Their lives are falling apart from Al-Zayt. And I'm thinking, so what? Didn't you remember this? Some guys go through a phase, and they grow up, they get serious about life. But a lot of people don't. They never get serious about life. They remain litigators. They remain nothings. Nope. A person who's not a Yarias Hashem, his whole kiyum mitzvahs is kulam b'derech aray. That's what Rashi says. That means when it's pleasant for him, it does it. And he wants to mekayim it, he does it. But there's no timidas, there's no consistency. Whenever it's difficult, he's not mekayim it. And he says, Hashem understands me. So his whole shmiras ha-mitzvahs is beker. That's what the Rambam calls somebody who's a kaifer b'Hashem. You're not meshubit to Hashem. Only somebody who's a Yarias Hashem, and through this is medaktik tamid b'mitzvahs. And he's makbid b'chol dover kechut hasayra. That's the only guy who's able to come to some madrega of ava and to serve Hashem. Now you got to make yourself red lines. Everybody has to have in his life red lines. Red lines means, what is a basic Yari Hashem? Here's a guy who goes home in Zman, Shachris, no minyan. Or you find something 11 o'clock, which is not a minyan. Or Mincha, mol yeah, mol not. Ma'ariv, mol yeah, mol not. No meshubit. No meshubit. Basic Judaism. Doesn't learn Torah every day. I'm not saying it's to learn 16 hours a day. Torah every day to learn. Yeah. A fellow doesn't understand that you got to have red lines. Speaking to a younger man recently, I said to the guy, do you go to Shacharis, Mincha, Meir, and Shul least? He said, no. I said, I mean, you're below the radar. That means you fell below. So what do you do, Yiddishkeit? You wear a yarmulke out of your house? What do you do? With what can your Yiddishkeit be described? I said, you're sleeping hours a day. I can only imagine what you're doing. Why aren't you going to Shachas, Mincha, Ma'aris? People don't do nothing. There's no such thing as Metzias. What's the pshat? What are you into? Oh, I'm tired. So you think I was born yesterday? When I was tired, I knew there was a reason why I was tired. When it wasn't because I stayed up very late learning. I knew why I was tired. Because you weren't staying up late learning. So was it, you red line. Your red line is gone. You lost your mitzvah, you lost your thing. Yiras ha'onish is the beginning, and that's challah. And if you don't have Yiras Shamayim, you haven't begun the road. To be an Eved Hashem, to commit to serving Hashem on Pesach, you have to commit to creating to yourself pressure, to creating to yourself Yiras Shamayim, and you got to put yourself in a situation where you're going to do what Hashem wants you to do. And this is what we're going to show, that this lesson was born out in Mitzrayim. Hashem taught this lesson very, very clearly. And we shall continue this subject, Ma'ar Hashem, get it clear.